Hi everybody, welcome to Marketing 465. If you are viewing this video, you will have just received an email through the class that will explain why this video is here and why I will not be in class on Monday. So with that, I just want to do a general introduction to the class, the sorts of things we'd do on a typical first day. My return is a little uncertain. So this video will replace what we would do in class on Monday, and there will be an additional video if I'm not going to be able to make it back by Wednesday. Okay, so as you open the course, you will find yourself in the landing page. You start here, Introduction and Resources. And your first resource is going to be your syllabus. Shows when the two classes meet. You're going to have to figure out which one you're in, but I think you're probably capable of that. Shows my office hours, which are between 12:30 and 1:45. That's a little misleading because most Wednesdays I'll be available for consultation about pretty much anything during normal class hours. My office is in 234B, so just down the hall and on the side. Have here some objectives, and we'll work our way through objectives, have a set of objectives basically for each class. But Marketing 465 is one of only 2 required courses in the marketing curriculum, along with professional selling, professional sales. I forget exactly which we call it. And thus it's become what is for most intents and purposes, our capstone. You should have taken, I believe, the requirement in the new catalog is 3 marketing courses before you're in this course. And most of you will be in either your last semester or within a couple of semesters of graduating. And so the course was established originally as Marketing 303, Decision Making for Value Creation, when it was also a required course, but wasn't the final course in the marketing curriculum. So you'll see some overlap here and maybe occasionally a video that talks about different course numbers. It really has to do with the way we've changed curriculum over the last few semesters. It should be for you a challenging course. This course is similar in expectations, not quite as high as the marketing management course that would be common to most MBA programs. In other words, we assume by the time you finish an undergraduate marketing major, you should be roughly at the level ready to do graduate level work. So we try to challenge you. We do a lot of writing and a lot of thinking, but at the same time, we also have a kind of a traditional format for marketing strategy, as you would find it at most schools, I think. So I'll let you read the objectives. We lost our administrator, and somewhere in the process of losing the administrator, I guess I apparently didn't get information about books, so you may have something that says you're supposed to have a book. There is no book in this class. There's plenty of reading, but there is no book. You have to come in class. If you don't come to class, there are very significant penalties in this class. Since we don't have a textbook or there aren't ways to learn things other than being here, take a very substantial deduction once you've missed the 15% of courses that is kind of university policy. That is the maximum you should be missing. It's been a while since I've had to give anyone an F in this class. D's and D minuses are much more common, and they're almost always associated with an attendance problem. I'll take roll only one time during class. When I take roll, if you're not there, if you're not in your seat, you don't answer when I call your name, you will be absent. You do have to turn work in on time. I'm not being ridiculous here. If you have a deadline at midnight and it's 12:03, I could care less. But at work and in many phases of your life, deadlines are going to be deadlines. And while often you can submit things late, that late work is not worth as much as on-time work. All submissions will be on Blackboard. This course is built so that it could be taught equally easily online or face-to-face. So it's not unusual at all to be doing some of the course teaching here by video. I'll use the Safe Assign tool, which will basically allow me to identify if you've stolen material. It's gotten a lot less common since the tools become available to us to check so easily. I do hate it, and I would definitely not like to see a situation where I have to deal with it this semester. Boom, 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 sanctions, and then I think we're moving here into boilerplate. Now, in grading the course, pretty much every week there will be a small, very easy test tied to the material, and it'll be the material I'll be lecturing on. So before you come in and listen to my lecture, I will expect you've done some reading and take a test. The tests are open books and open notes. You can take them as many times as you want. Only the last test will be graded and your lowest will be dropped. Since these 12 tests only account for a total of 10% of your grade, you can see that missing a couple is not going to make much difference. But when you start missing 3, 4, 5, you can kind of think of it as after the first one, each of those lowers your final grade by about a point. And again, I mentioned earlier, students that get in trouble in this class often also forget their test. Students who do well, remember them, make 100 on them or a 90 and do well. Most of our assignments are grouped. The kinds of work we're doing is challenging casework, and we know that not just you, millennials, but humans in general learn best doing difficult things in group settings. It doesn't mean every group is always going to be perfect or every group's always going to be happy with the way things go. It just means it's the best way to learn hard things. So a little bit over a third of your grade will be tied to what is basically a weekly assignment. As we move into course content and scheduling in a minute, you'll see there's a general rule. On Monday, I do the talking, I lecture, you will have taken your test. On Wednesday, usually I'm serving as a consultant and you are solving company problems. Your midterm and your final will then rank as 25 and 30% each. And while I don't have it down here, I'm still debating on whether I'm going to take a hunk off of a couple of these and make a presentation score grade 2. So I'll let you know if I decide to do that. Okay, and as you can see here, one of the real issues with Blackboard is having a schedule and having to change things in 2 places. So I've just gone ahead and made the jump to saying forget all of this trying to write down due dates. I'm going to do due dates once. I'm going to always do them in the same place, and that'll make both of our lives easier. You don't have to worry about trying to look at a syllabus or trying to retain the syllabus. In course content and schedule, you'll see all of your due dates and all of the content. Before we go on to the first module, though, let me back up for just a second here to, again, to introduction and resources, and talk about a few useful resources here. One is Grammarly. You will find out that I require business quality writing. Business quality is not quite to journalist standards. If you read the Wall Street Journal or the Washington Post, you should almost never see a writing error. Maybe once in every 50 articles, you'll see even a minor error. But business writing isn't quite that much. isn't quite that stringent, but in a typical paper, there should be no more than a mistake or two. And that mistake should never be in a heading or in a topical sentence. As business people, we learn very quickly to read headings, to read the first sentence. After that, we read the things we need to. And I can tell you now, if I'm reading a paper and I find errors in the heading or I find errors in the early writing, then you're going to see your grade suffer immediately for that. So definitely use Grammarly, but also the way I think of Grammarly is Grammarly will make really awful writing just bad. It doesn't do much to make, decent to bad good. So you're going to have to work with each other in your editing, and I encourage you to go to the Writing and Learning Center if you have issues. Managing due dates is something a student gave me. We have a lot of due dates in this class, and I've been told by students who used it that this little process makes it easier for you to keep, not to forget those tests. Quick comment here about paragraph length. You'll see me saying this back to you, and you'll be looking at every week turning in a paper as a group and seeing me grade it. But I'll often be saying, keep your paragraphs to 4 sentences. It's amazing how often business writing sticks to that. Occasionally you'll see a 3, occasionally a 5, rarely a 6, and never anything longer. So if you look at a page and it doesn't have 4 paragraphs on it, one of those paragraphs is probably too long. And again, writing and learning support, Hunter Library Research Guides. If you go there, there's a sales and marketing link. I'll be demonstrating it probably in class, but it is a tool that'll be useful to you. And this has something to do with jobs. On occasion, when classes are interested in Job Hunt, if you are, let me know, and I'll be happy to sprinkle in some material as we're going through. Okay. One more thing, I'm not quite ready to release this yet because I want to do it at a time that's fair to everybody. But each of you will be picking a company, and each of you will be picking a different company. We have 50 people combined in the 2 sections of Marketing 465. That means I will have 50 companies to review this semester. Do that for a lot of reasons. One is it makes it almost impossible to cheat, not completely if you can find something online, but no 2 students will ever be working with exactly the same company. And I rotate things so that you won't really have the ability to go look at what somebody's done before. I'm looking for your work, not for your ability to follow a pattern somebody else set for you. So when we get to this, and it'll probably be no later than Wednesday, I'll do it by video if I need to. You'll be looking at about 178 companies. The entire class will pick from those and pick about 1/3 of the companies available. Okay. And as I said, returning here, when we get now to Introduction to Business, the first module, you'll see your first test is due at noon, and all the tests should be due at noon. Let me know if they're not, on January 16th, so that's Wednesday. Again, it's a simple test. You can take it multiple times if you need to, but you should not need to. And as you move into not just this module, but each of the modules, you'll find a combination of a video that I did somewhere along the line. It may be 4 or 5 years old if it's a very generic video like Introduction to Business. But you'll also find links that are interesting and kind of fit into the topic area. And there you'll find your little test. Okay. Turning here, as we get into a normal week, and it's really going to be our third week before we kind of have a normal week. What we will see is typically a test due on Monday and then a assignment due at midnight on Wednesday. We will use all of the class period, or virtually all of the class period, on Wednesdays. You'll be able to work together to do that assignment. I'll be available to answer questions for you. If you've seen feedback on me, or you've heard feedback on me, or you've had a class with me before, you'll know that I'll answer any question that you've thought your way far enough into to be able to phrase intelligently. I'm not going to give you sometimes as direct an answer as you want, but if you start doing something and you get lost, I'll be there to help you find your way. And with that, I'm going to close out. I will hopefully you'll never see this video, but if you do see the video, you will hopefully see me on Wednesday. If not, the following Monday is Martin Luther King Day. None of us will see each other that day, but we will, I hope to have everything resolved one way or another by the 20th, in time for me to be back for the class on the 23rd.